Right, so Iran has finally said the quiet part out loud. And of course, it lands like heresy in Washington because the accusation is not that the United States is biased or heavy handed or looking the other way, it's that the world's self appointed guardian of international laws stripped the wiring out of the system to let Israel run a regional free fire zone. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Aragchi is standing there in Tehran saying the US is replacing the entire post war legal order with a force based model designed to protect a state whose prime minister has been talking up Greater Israel as if it's a family heirloom he's polishing. And when you put that beside the strikes on Iran, the strikes in Syria, the strikes in Lebanon, the UN vetoes, the stockpiled American munitions, and all of the rest of it, well, it sounds less like Iranian bluster and more like someone describing the map as it already looks. Right, so Iran is not just shouting at the clouds here, they're laying out a prosecution case. And the charge sheet is simple enough that you can follow it without having to buy into every bit of Tehran's rhetoric necessarily. Abbas Aragchi is saying that the United States has stopped even pretending to run the post-war legal order and is now running a force-based system instead. And that system exists to protect Israel while it throws its weight around the region. You do not have to agree with Iran on anything else to see what he is doing there, because once you put the recent strikes, the public statements, and the diplomatic wreckage in order, you end up with something that looks less like a conspiracy theory and more like a description of how power really is actually working right now in the Middle East. The question is not whether the US likes Israel. That has been obvious for decades, hasn't it? The question is whether Washington is actively ushering in a regional map and a regional balance that lines up with what Israeli leaders have been calling Greater Israel, and whether the erosion of law that Aragchi is talking about is the necessary price of that. So the starting point for Iran's argument is the gap between what the post-1945 system says on paper and what has just happened to Iran in practice. The UN Charter, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the UN Security Council Resolution 2231 are supposed to set the limits here.